some reason it takes me a while to kind of button up, but I am here. Uh,
Yeah, welcome to Transparency and Merit with
and
Brian and Joe.
that is right. Now, I was going to go into my things, but you today when we talked, Joe, you seemed upset and you're raring to go. You want to tell us what's on your mind?
You know, I do, and I'm glad it's called Stoic, Calm, Brutal Honesty because, I mean, it's an important part. It should be an important part of the day where you kind of take a look at things and reflect, and you kind of gently ponder on it. And I guess I have a history of flying sort of off the handle and getting loud. I've
Hmm.
never had a violent adult act as an adult, but but I guess I have had loud interchanges when I feel I've been wronged or when I feel somebody's being wronged. And I try to address that, but sometimes things build up and things get frustrating and they there needs to be an outlet. There needs to be outlets. There needs to be many outlets. I jog, I try to eat right, try to do things that help me to understand this set of circumstances, the division tactics, the the I don't want to say that the word I'm thinking of escapes me, but I guess the negotiations that can be made between people who disagree. It's so hard to find that right now when I don't know if you've been descended upon for not wearing a mask. You seem to have been pretty faithful to that,
Yeah.
and people are, and I get that. But don't come to me and tell me, some story about how your work's handling or mishandling tests, and I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna get angry at that. These sort of things piss me off. I get fired up over it. I feel like I've always felt that passion is important to have, but nowadays I almost feel like it's a crime if you're not looking at it from a stoic perspective and you're not able to process it and discuss it in a calm manner. And that may be the civilized way to do it anyways. I just That's how I've always been. I guess I grew up in a household where our voices were heard at a certain tone or frequency, and anything below that, nothing seemed to get through. So, yeah, it fired me up, but I think Stoic Calm has helped me to put it in perspective a little better. I wish I had handled it this way earlier, but it was an emotional moment for me. It really was. Just discussing about how, and I probably said things I shouldn't have and whatever, but when when people tell me about their personal health information being mishandled, I get angry. I get fired up. PHI, people. PHI, personal health information. And it's not a game. Like that's you. That is you. And if you're not defending that, then I do feel that you're allowing someone to walk all over you. So I'll leave it there for a second.
Well, Joe, uh, we are living in a time where there's a lot of sanctimonious, behavior, and I would say maybe even on both sides. Uh, and there's been a lot of inaccuracies. And on the establishment side, there seems to have been a lot of, it seems like downright lies. And you lie, and then you want us to. take this drug, and we're seeing right now with the debacle in Afghanistan how they're handling it, and they want us to have a vaccine. They're pushing for a vaccine mandate when they handle things, the way they handle them. It's kind of, to be honest with you, it's kind of disheartening how how things are handled all the way around, and there seems to be gaslighting like I've never seen before, dishonesty like I've never seen before, and it's on both sides. But the establishment is left, and they are gaslighting in ways in which I've never seen before. And the brainwashing like I've never seen before. I wanted to mention, by the way, I had a I have a few conversations on YouTube, and I think the guy goes by the name of Man 5. I think it's kind of a thing of Man 5. I think it's like Manso Munso or whatever. But we got into a few discussions, and I checked out his YouTube channel. Now he's a liberal. He considers himself a liberal, not a leftist. And he's had a few shows on there, and the things that upset me more than these vaccine, the way they're handling COVID, for me, is the way they handle things like what's considered social justice, and the way the establishment is handling freedom of speech. It does anger me, and I've never seen anything like it. And for a long time, the internet was the Wild West. You could say whatever you want, and the establishment just came in, and now they've decided what is offensive and what isn't. Now, Angela, Political Woodstock, is in the house. I'm going to invite her and give her a thing if she has anything to add. But she is a nervous wreck. She says that she's late, and the dog was hiding. She's fine, but there was a dog. I guess the dog was hiding. Now she's fine, but she was a nervous wreck. Things like can't make.
Is that code for something? The dog was hiding.
I don't know. I don't know if that's code for anything. But there's just been a lot of things out there that I disagree with, and that have upset me, and have really angered me. I know it's not rational or the best decision. When because I've had some thoughts, like of fighting back to a degree, and just kind of lashing out. But I know that that's not the best thing to do. That's not the wisest thing. But 2020 and 2021, I have been very angry. I've been very upset at the powers that be, because I don't think the powers that be are popular, but they have power. And they think they know what is right for everybody. Now, we do have Angela, so I'm going to bring her on. Joe, do you have anything to say before I bring Angela on?
I'm not sure what the heck you're talking about. You need to be a little more specific.
Very well. All right. Angela, did you understand what I was saying? was it?
I
Didn't he
heard
sound?
part of it. I really was late to the conversation.
He was
My
talking in
little
deep
sweet
cup.
dog Lucy was hiding, and I found her, and
Oh,
I was
oh,
just a
thank God.
nervous wreck because she's so tiny and she's has black hair and it's dark, and you know she
Yeah,
runs fast.
My dog with black hair is impossible to find when it's dark. It's
I,
really tough.
How fast does that dog run, JP?
Pretty fast. Still pup.
let
He's
me
not
let
even
me
2 years old.
let me rephrase this. The censorship that's been going on and
Mm-hmm.
cancel culture that has been going on, and it really it took on another level um, during 2020 with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter was kind of diminished in 2020, and then the whole George Floyd incident that just sparked up a whole new can of worms, and cancel culture and the like just took on a whole. I mean, it really got strong and very powerful, and I, I believe that sooner or later, I mean, even particularly with January 6th, I think a lot of the right wing violence was spurred on by the left and the leftist violence and the police not doing anything about it, or not effective
Agree.
and not effectively uh, you know protecting uh, you know people who were protesting or one on the other side. And I think there was anger at the establishment and anger at hypocrisy that was going. I mean, with COVID, there's so much hypocrisy that we see going on, and that does anger people. Gaslighting, because gaslighting and hypocrisy are things that abusers do, and when you see that, it's going to make your blood boil by nature. Now, how you respond to that, it's a feeling, because you know it's unfair, and you know that people are being unfair, or what it looks like to be unfair, and the manner in which they choose to address the issue a lot of times is not to acknowledge you. If you have a question or a problem, they just don't, they don't acknowledge you as a human being, and they don't. It's like you're not being listened to, and that's
Well,
a
I
problem.
would say that insurrection was about sore losers. They do not want their world to change. And that's how they reacted. Instead of responding, they did a violent reaction, of which Mark Wayne Mullins, a U.S. rep from Oklahoma, was there. He's the same rep just 2 days ago that um, he threatened U.S. embassy staff, and then he pushed his way into Afghanistan with bags of money, no military experience. I mean, he might as well put a bullseye on his back. Those are the type of people that were at the insurrection, people that were reactionary. What say you?
I say much of the reactionary stuff was exacerbated by the violence on the left.
But that doesn't make them responsible for what the far right does. That's
Well,
what they chose. It was a choice that they did. They violated laws. They should all be in prison, in my viewpoint. And if it was the left that had done that, they would have been shot. But like if they were all anybody but white, they would have been shot.
I would disagree
Yeah,
with
I just did not like the actions at all. It didn't matter who was doing it. It was just bad. Concluded.
you. I think there still are questions about, I think there are quite. I mean, for months. I mean, for almost 4 years, we heard Russia, 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 and we can't be indulged at all about election. And and your mic is going.
Sorry. I was trying to fix something on the phone to make it better. Is it better now?
Oh, it's good. You're coming in loud and clear.
Yeah.
But I
Good.
think that the left is using the insurrection and really ignoring the months of rioting, the BLM and Antifa rioting that happened, and this was bad. But I think comparative analysis, and I think to a degree, the violence that the right did, and I'm not excusing it, but
Well, it sounds like you're minimizing it, but that's just my viewpoint. But
I
go ahead.
I'm just doing a comparative analysis.
Okay.
And to me, like I said, the right has no, if you're on the right, they have no, the left has no empathy for you, and the left controls the establishment. And the left is the one primarily. I mean, there's right cancel culture, but the left is the one who promotes cancel culture. Cancel culture was started online. BLM was started online, and it was able to mobilize quickly online. But yet they take down conservatives, but they don't take down left wing groups, and they don't. Nothing is investigated to the culpability of them allowing for left wingers. I mean, is a business, is someone's business important that gets burned to the ground, or people loot it? Is just looting? I mean, is it just looting the Capitol is worse than looting hundreds of businesses and smashing up windows and cars?
But
And
we're talking about the head of our government, where everything starts from. It could have collapsed our whole economy. It could have done any number of things. It was a coup, and it wasn't cancel culture. Now, I will admit to you that the left has weaponized cancel culture, but cancel culture has been around since Thomas Jefferson. They tried to cancel him because of I forget her name. The woman that he owned that
blacklisting was conservative cancel culture. If you were,
but it's been around for a long time. But they have weaponized it, and I'll agree to that point that they have weaponized it.
To me, they're doing what was done to liberals in the in the late 1940s and 1950s with the
Red Scare.
Yeah, the Red Scare, and
yeah, my family was a part of that.
Yeah, and my family was too. My family was
crazy.
My family was on the conservative side of that, and
mine too.
Yeah, they are a danger. They are a dangerous philosophy, and they've taken over, and they're using the same tactics.
They use fear. Fear is used a lot.
Yeah.
If you go there, we'll know that you've gone there to do business.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. It is disgusting.
And you don't see a correlation between
the two, because they could have chosen to respond differently. They chose to force their way into Capitol with spears. They killed policemen. I mean,
they only killed.
I don't think it compares. I don't think it was.
You know what? I doubt it. You know what? I don't think it was a coup.
It was a coup. And they were looking for Nancy Pelosi. They were looking for anyone that could be put in the stead of the president. Even the vice president was in danger of being murdered. I mean, these are not small things.
Well,
and their vice president and the Speaker of the House, I just think it was disgusting. Just like I think Trump is disgusting. Now, some of the policies that came out of his administration may not have been all bad, and I can say that, but it was wrong, and I think we're getting ready to find out how wrong it was. Concluded.
Well, I don't think the majority, there's going to be 50% of the Americans that are thinking that it's overblown and they're weaponizing it, and there's not a lot of clarity. They should do a contrast of the Antifa BLM riots and January 6th and see which ones Americans think are worse and have a complete transparency.
Oh, it would be easy. It would be the insurrection, the attempted coup. That is worse.
You know what? I disagree, but
and that's okay.
The deciding factor, in my opinion, is the American people. And to me, I think that we are in, to a degree, kind of a cultural cold civil war, and not just in America, mind you. It is primarily throughout the Anglosphere, but throughout the West, in England and Australia. I would even say, like, I would almost want to join forces with, the conservatives in England, Australia, India, Japan, South Korea, kind of bandy together to fight the left, because the left is very toxic, and they're also very foolish and dangerous. And
Well, we have an American on your show right now, JP. Which
yeah,
one do you think is worse? The weaponized left or the insurrection that almost ended our country?
The weaponized what?
Left.
Okay.
That's what he's talking about. It's the left.
Oh yeah,
That they're
yeah.
weaponized. They're shutting down hundreds
Okay.
of businesses. Or the
Well,
insurrection, which was an attempted coup, in my opinion, concluded.
okay. So yeah, fundamentally, I differ from Brian. This is your conversation with Brian, by the way, not with me, because for one simple reason, the left and the right paradigms were created merely to distract people from what really matters in this world. I truly believe that. There's some famous quotes. If you want me to dig them up, I will. But there's
Sure, but
a
you're
very
the American.
listen to
And he's
me.
talking about what do Americans think. That's why I was asking. Concluded.
I'm giving you an opinion of an American who's got an opinion that the masses don't necessarily agree with. Most people are left or right, and I'm neither. And I think both sides are there to distract you from the most valuable things in this world. It's not that hard of a concept. It's not that big of a stretch. But when you understand what red versus blue means, you understand. You understand that the colors themselves give it away. That you should be able to identify right away what's being played. Now, when you talk about this other insurrection, that's another like Alex Jones talking point. And from my perspective, the media doesn't do us any favors, so I won't go much further than that. You should know where I draw the line on a story like that. Concluded.
yeah, I gotta say that I kind of copying. I'm just copying and pasting my show. But yeah, I kind of I don't know if I agree. I mean, like I said, I don't. I believe in a right and left paradigm. I believe somewhere in the middle is maybe where most Americans may be. But I think this is primarily the fault of the left that has made this. Um, uh, a lot of moderates, I think, are starting to lean more right because of the left, because of the toxic left. They're sanctimonious, they're arrogant, they come across as very narcissistic, and just overall nasty. And a lot of people like me believe that there is no place for leftism in the civilized world, not just America, but the civilized world. Uh, these people are, in my opinion, very dangerous. They hold a very toxic ideology, and also it makes way for it at best weakens us, but at worst, if these groups take over, it won't be a place worth living in. And these people have too loud of a voice. I want to mention, by the way, the person I was addressing beforehand. He talked about the one good thing he talked about was Tariq Nasheed, and then he brought up on another segment Stefan Molyneux. But I want to point out that Tariq Nasheed is allowed on YouTube and on all social media, and he says things far more inflammatory and vindictive than Stefan Molyneux. And Stefan Molyneux has been very punished But yeah, I mean, I digress. If you look at some of these far right characters and some of these leftist characters, are these if you look at a so-called white, what they would consider alt-right, and a pro-black person, a lot of these pro-black channels are far more vindictive, far more cruel and nasty, and they have no empathy for you as a person of European descent. If you're a person of European descent, they have no empathy for you. As a matter of fact, they're out to hurt you. They're out to hurt you. And that's when I see Tariq Nasheed, he's someone that would absolutely be out there to hurt someone. I'd have to walk on eggshells. Conclude.
Well, I would say about those groups that you're referring to that target people of white European descent, that they're very organized. They have a take no prisoners mentality, and they're making progress. Those groups are making progress. But I do not want to demonize the whole left. And if we look at the paradigm, there's the staticism. I mean, I'm saying that wrong. And there's the far right, the far right and the far left. Extremism, in my opinion, on either side is bad. We got the libertarians. We have lots of different people that are around the center, the centrists. And there's some people in the Democratic Party that consider themselves a centrist, and the same with the right. But the system that was put in place was back in 1787. At one time we had three parties. That did not work out well. But maybe we need to look at a different paradigm. Concluded.
Yeah, I was gonna I'm kind of chomping a little bit at the bit. I don't want to go I'm angry, but the left controls the far left control much of the establishment. As of now, Black Lives Matter was embraced by the establishment. And years ago, if a leader of an organization, if one of the leaders of one of the main leaders of an organization said that they were Marxist, that would be it. They wouldn't be. They'd be completely dismissed. But that being known, they got endorsements up the yin yang.
I understand that you do not like those far left groups. I definitely do not like Antifa, but it is the politicians that are ignorant and decided to make it a political point, a political maneuver. They made a maneuver out of these groups, and the groups ran with it because they got more donations. And now we see that Black Lives Matter is having issues because of mismanagement of the donations, out and outright fraud. I hope things change. I'm not for sure how we can do that. I know that all revolutions start in violence. That's a fact. And I think on January 6th, that is what they were attempting. Concluded.
I could be wrong, but the evidence that I'm seeing is there was no planned. I don't think there was really any planned attack. I think it was a lot of anger out there. There was a belief in election integrity. I mean, Biden got more votes in history. I mean, and Trump did too. Trump got over 70 million votes, and Biden got 80. So that's a lot of votes. And if to not look at that seriously and have was this thing, was this integrity, and the manner in which they acted, the manner in which the leadership acted, so cavalier and so nasty. And now we're seeing stuff out of Georgia and out of Arizona, and I'm all by myself now. But I was going to say we see things now that we're looking at, and not a lot. I guess clarity is something that's not going to happen, and if you strive for clarity, that's not something that you're entitled to. And people do want clarity. I would like some clarity. on the irregularities that have happened. I mean, 80 million votes. How did that happen? It was it 84 million or 80, over 80 million votes, and we can't examine that. And there were discrepancies.
Come on.
We can't look at that. We looked at Russia for 4 years. We can't examine voter integrity. We can't examine that fact and the manner in which
Well, during the Trump organization or presidency, they should have fixed the voting issues. There are always people that are dead that they put a vote by. There's voting irregularities with different voting machines, algorithms, but still, when they recounted, what was it, Georgia, 3 times, Biden won each time. Even though I think that's the most problematic state, it still shows that Biden won. They just need to lick their wounds and move on and prepare for 2024. They're wasting their money, especially that pillow guy concluded.
You know what? You might be wrong. I mean, and I, you know what? I hear a lot of things, but the thing of it is, there are, like, I guess a forensic audit or whatnot, and a more. I'm not sure, but I've heard that there's more of a detailed audit that has been happening, particularly in Arizona. I'm wondering when these results are going to even come out.
Well, Pillow Guy has sold one of his private jets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I thought I saw something. Private jets to fund more. Oh, what do you say?
Audits or forensic?
More audits of Arizona, but Arizona will no longer tolerate it because it's been counted and gone through, and it's shown that part of the Trump team was fraudulent, that they made mistakes.
You know what?
So, I just think they need to focus on 2024.
Well, that may very well be true, but like I said, there are people that have staked their claims on this, and are very upset. And shouldn't they be humored? Just I don't know. Like there's no debate. It's very hidden, and social media hides things and decides what we're allowed to hear and what we're not allowed to hear. So we have the issue of censorship, and we have the mainstream media that's not that honest. And I've never, like I said, I've never seen things like this before. I've never witnessed things like this before. This is the first time that I've seen. To me, these anchors, the manner in which these newscasters they've kind of changed. I remember CNN 30 years ago. They didn't behave. They didn't behave the way they do today. I remember during the first Gulf War, and they never acted the way they acted. And I think that's maybe partial to Generation X. There's a different behavior. I think America has kind of lost its stoicism, and they don't report the news. They editorialize, and that was never done years ago, but now it is. Let's talk to political Woodstock again. Yeah, and I would say reporter. What do you call it? Journalistic ethics are not what they used to be.
Well, I would say those journalistic ethics died in 1980 and became progressively worse. You can see the emotionalism on CNN, for example, even Fox, different extreme shows.
Well,
but as far as the voting that you were talking about, like an audit, that's what they've been doing. They've been going over the voting. They've been going over the machines. They've gone over the algorithms. I don't know how much more of an audit they can do.
Well, what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing that they're being denied the routers.
Well, is that their intellectual property? Is that the property of the government? Or is it a property of a third company, which they would have to get a search warrant for? And did they get that search warrant? I really haven't kept up on that. They may have.
I
But
believe.
one state will not make a difference. Trump, even if he wins one state, he will not have won.
But here's the
And there's
deal.
no way they're going to put him back in place because we all know that Al Gore won, that he
Well,
had integrity and morals.
well, I mean, something's taken away from you, and how vindictive people are. I don't know. I'd have,
Mhm.
Angela. This is something that's kind of beyond my pay grade in the technology.
True. Mine
The whole,
too.
I'll be honest with you, something that I don't know enough about. All I do know is if you talk about it too much, YouTube.
Oh, yes, you're right. Why don't we talk about how politicized the getting the vaccine or wearing the mask can be? We can switch.
Well, yeah, we can go into that. And I've said this before. My largest issue about this vaccine and these vaccine mandates is
Mhm.
the censorship, um, and the fact that the government seems to have been deceptive and lied. I mean, the people the people who invented the vaccines held that information until after the election. So why would you do that? And now you want everyone to get one when you've been politically active and we're supposed to trust you, you know?
Yes, I agree with you. I'm having some issues with I'm on my phone. And when I try to mute it so that my sound, like the dogs that are barking right now, doesn't overflow, I apologize about that. I'm going to have to mute myself.
It sounded like a dogfight. Anyway, I'm going to kind of end it as of now, but the thing about what's happening now and the reason.
I'm so sorry. It's just so loud right now. I had one missing dog, and now the other two dogs came outside. Usually it's these. Oh, whoa, whoa. One jumped on me. Sorry. I gotta let you go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Get off of me. Oh, geez. I don't know how to hang up.
Oh, I'm back on stream. All right, it's just me now. I'm going to end the show. It was kind of interesting, and I guess I rambled a little bit, and sometimes I do that. I think it's my diabetes that gets the better of me. And like I said, I guess I've been kind of angry about this political situation, and I think a lot of people have been upset about the cancel culture and the how the left has taken hold of the establishment. And to me, it seems like they are a threat not only to America but to the civilized world. And I don't know what what the noble and civil people can do to stand up to them because they believe that they're in the right. Most of the evil done in the world, it's where people think that they are in the right and the good. But this is really mobocracy and the lack of clarity that's being done. So anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Thank you for listening. And also visit our website at transparencyandmerit.com.